Kobai, Scott Whitney. You notice I'm recording you now. See, you'll be able to, this stuff will be on the air, and then also it will be on our on-demand site, on our webcast, or on our website, so you can actually listen to this after the fact.
Neat. We're talking about linking it to our own website too. So
oh, cool.
A lot of the younger people want more audio on our website, so we're trying to do that.
Yeah, because you could. Yeah, that would be easy for you to do, and you could just send them to our link or however you want to do it.
Okay,
and
good deal.
It'll be an MP3 form.
Oh, that's neat.
Yes. Now, of course, you heard the discussion prior to the to you coming on.
I did. I heard parts of it.
These people need chill pills.
Well, we all do in a way. I was going to tell you off air about. I just got back from about 12 days in Oregon and California visiting friends and so on. But I ended up on Amtrak a lot in very crowded trains because I didn't think ahead that this was Easter vacation and spring break.
Right.
Yeah. And so I had several meltdowns I was going to brag about. But
oh, really?
Yes. The Buddhist blows it, yeah.
So what are things that get to you?
Oh, the usual, I think okay, I better avoid that one. That'll get both of us in trouble. I was going to say something about whiny older people, but I won't.
It's too late.
But
aren't we whiny older people? I mean, aren't we into that, getting into that range here?
Oh, sure, yeah. No, I have some mobility limitations and balance problems, so I call in and I get allowed on Amtrak to sit on the bottom, on the lower level, so I don't have to climb the stairs and so on. But when I got on the train, I think it was in Emeryville, Oakland, and there was my seat, but it was filled with the appurtenances of an older woman who had just set up camp there, and she started whining, and I lost it. I threw my bag down, and I grabbed my walking stick and went upstairs, didn't come back. I was just furious.
Now, so she was sitting in your seat, or she was putting her stuff in your seat?
Her stuff was in my seat.
And she didn't. She thought that you shouldn't have your seat?
Right.
So but you didn't make her move it?
No.
But when you felt, of course, then you would have to sit next to her.
Yeah, there was that problem. And she was kind of huge.
I would have just aggravated her. I would have sat down beside her and aggravated her. You want to aggravate me? I'll aggravate you back.
Well, stuff like that gets to me. The other thing, the standard thing is people on cell phones. And Amtrak now has very, briefs people on that, go between the cars. They have a special little seat you can pull down and talk on your cell phone. But a lot of people don't, and they...
See, that's where texting could come in, because that way you'll hear it, but you don't hear, it's not so much talking.
I'm finally learning the thumb language and how to do it. I've only had this cell phone for 3 years, and I'm finally figuring out how to do that.
Now, do you have a cell phone that has its own keypad? Because that helps.
No.
Oh, so you're doing the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
No, I finally got a keypad. Makes
really?
a huge difference. Yeah. See?
Yeah.
That's just where did my cell phone's up here. Okay, there's the keypad.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
But those keys are too small for my puffy white fingers.
Well, yeah, it's hard because you'll make a mistake, but it's still faster than going 1, 2, 3. Oh, there, it's faster than that.
Yeah.
And of course, some have the keypad. Smartphones will have them on, on the face of it, like a tablet. Boom. You can do that. Go that route too.
Well, you're creating lots of conflict here in the harbor, or are you encouraging it, or what's happening with your early hour on this program?
Well, sometimes it erupts, but it's mainly by troublemakers.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So, see,
as long as we can label people, somehow we can hate them.
Well, I don't hate them.
Oh, good.
No.
Good.
No, it's but yeah, it's like herding cats sometimes.
Yeah.
So I step on their tails.
All right. I got to plug a couple of things.
Okay.
Our website is plummountain.org, so that has our calendar and schedule of events and so on. I'm going to be experimenting with, a lot of people want to learn meditation and mindfulness, but are afraid to go to a group or do attend a group but feel like everyone else is serene, but they're not. So they feel like, I'm the only person in the room whose mind is racing, who can't pay attention. And it can look that way if you look at other people's, outside. Everyone looks serene, but probably 75% of the room is working on their to-do list for tomorrow or worried about what their spouse said this morning. I found that people need some encouragement and some practice in meditation. So we're going to be doing some special workshops for seniors and people with limited mobility. So people in wheelchairs, who use walkers and so on. Because there's a lot of movement meditations that have been developed, especially for that population. So I did a few of those several years ago, and they were well attended, so I'm going to revive those too.
So people, when they come to your classes or have you visit them and talk about what you do, they're looking for some way to get peace, to relax, what are the main reasons that they go through this?
Well, most people are suffering in some way, and you'll find this in church communities generally. Any pastor will probably confirm that a lot of people show up once or twice because they're coming off a divorce, or they've had some big health event that makes them worried about death and dying and so on. Other kinds of, or they've lost someone, they've lost a child, they've lost a spouse, and so people tend to seek out some kind of spiritual answers when they're hurting. Now the problem is when you're not hurting. And my belief is that your spiritual practice, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be Buddhism, but your spiritual practice should enhance your life whether things are going well or if everything's falling to pieces. And there have been some popular books recently by Buddhist writers. Pema Chodron's book called When Things Fall Apart was very popular with Oprah, and I finally read it a couple of weeks ago, and it's a wonderful, wonderful book. But when things fall apart is when people start looking for some kind of encouragement, spiritual encouragement. And we've got to be, I don't like the word consumer, but we've got to be very careful patrons or students of our religious traditions. And we have to keep an open mind and also an inquiring mind, so that we don't end up in some repressive cult. And now cult's a name that, one religion slings against another.
Sure.
But I've seen it happen even in Buddhism, where a cult is where your leader, your pastor, or your whatever they call themselves, your guru, is when they say things that are illogical or unkind, and everyone goes along with it. Everyone violates their own internal moral structure to go along with the leader. and everyone.
This is a sheep complex.
Yeah, yeah. Or the dysfunctional family complex.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone making excuses for mom's drinking or dad's drinking. You know,
Or
trying to hide it.
or Jimmy Swaggart going to the houses of ill repute, and then he's sinned, but he's I mean, this guy was
Well, he was an excellent crier. So
very good.
That helped
yes.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly that. And there's a sutra or a scripture from the Buddha that is called the Kalama Sutta, and it's to the people of Kalama, not the one down in
Kalama. Yeah.
But basically, here's what happened. He goes to this village. They say, "You're the 10th or whatever guru that showed up this week, and each one of you have a different version of reality and what we should do, and so why should we believe you?" And he gives this guideline for choosing a religious leader and tradition, and it works even today. And basically he says you should not believe someone just because they cite a sacred text. You should not believe someone just because they cite some teacher some guru that they worked with. You should not believe someone who violates their own, who does not walk the walk, as we would say. Your person should be honest and ethical and so forth. Pretty common sense stuff that unfortunately many sheep or followers will overlook in their fervor for their religious community.
Well, we need to take a break, and then we'll be right back at 7:22. Kobai Scott Whitney is our guest today, and we'll continue our conversation here in a moment. It's Coffee Talk on FM 94.7 and AM 1450. Kobai Scott Whitney is our guest today. And we were kind of talking about, how do you know that the person that is your spiritual teacher is legit, really has, is who he says he is or she says she is and things. Now, what is the reason do you think, of course, maybe it's the same thing where men trying to keep themselves in power all the time, why women have not been part of the well, obviously they're not in the priesthood and things like that, but they're starting to break that pattern. But what about in Buddhism? I mean, are women allowed to be leaders of whatever you call the leadership, or are they?
This was a struggle in Buddhism also, as it's been in most world religions. I did what's called clinical pastoral education with some other seminarians, people studying the ministry who are learning to be hospital chaplains. And the women in that group, I remember, were just the stories they had about fighting, each in their own denomination. I mean, there's a Presbyterian, Baptist, Catholic, and so on. Women have all had to fight. And in Buddhism, one of the things that happened was some relatives, female relatives of the Buddha, approached him and said, "Can we be ordained like you're ordaining the men? Can we be bhikkhus?" is the Pali term for it, monks. And he said no. And they got, can I say pissed?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
They got pissed, and they argued with him for a bit. Then they sent Ananda, who was his male attendant and his kind of closest friend, who knew him the best. And so Ananda comes to him and says, now, in your discourses, when you've been talking to people, you have said that women can achieve enlightenment, can be liberated from suffering, that any human being has that opportunity. Buddha said yes, and basically said, well, if they can achieve the same thing, why won't you ordain them? And the Buddha did not have an answer for that. Yes. So he ended up finally ordaining women. They were a little different word, bhikshuni, it means nuns, basically. And of course, there's 20 extra rules for the women, 20 more rules than there are for men. There's 247, I think, for men, something like that. You're looking.
Well, the rules. Yeah, what are the rules? I mean, is it repressive? Are they repressive?
Yeah, but most of them have to do with protocol, with rank. So, for instance, a novice, a fully ordained person always outranks a novice, unless the novice is male and the fully ordained person is female.
So then, once again, the male is over the female.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. So even in Buddhism, we've had that thing, and it still goes on. You look at some of the Buddhist traditions today, and very, very male-dominated. Now, I just came back from California, and I was around. I visited some of the old Catholic organizations and churches that I belonged to when I was growing up, and actually went to a benefit for a Catholic order that I was a member of a long time ago. And I saw almost all these parishes, it's the women who are running the place. I stopped by the chancery to find the address of a priest friend of mine, and the chancery was full of women. So they are taking on roles more and more, even within the Catholic Church.